Welcome back. So if you've ever stepped foot in a gym or, laced up a pair of running shoes, you have definitely run into the ultimate fitness debate. Cardio or strength training? Which one should you actually be prioritizing? Today we're diving into this explainer to break down this exact dilemma. We'll be using some really fascinating insights directly from the UTMB Anderson Cancer Center to essentially cut through all the noise. We're going to give you the clear, structured facts you need to optimize your long-term wellness.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the fitness dilemma itself. Then we'll look at cardio and its heart health benefits, followed by strength training and how it builds your body. After that, we'll put them head to head, comparing the actual health outcomes before delivering the final verdict.
All right, part one, the fitness dilemma. Look, our time is limited, our energy is finite, and at the end of the day, we all just want the absolute best return on our physical investment, right? So it really all boils down to one simple question. Which one is actually better? And honestly, this single question creates so much tension. On one side, you have the diehard runners and cyclists, and on the exact opposite side, you've got the bodybuilders and powerlifters. It can kind of feel like you have to, pick a tribe if you want to achieve true fitness.
It literally becomes team cardio versus team strength. And you know what happens? This rivalry just creates massive analysis paralysis. Instead of actually making progress, people get completely stuck trying to optimize their routine based on totally conflicting articles. One day you read that running is the only way to live longer, and the next day an article insists that lifting heavy weights is the true fountain of youth. It is incredibly confusing, and that confusion frequently stalls our actual progress. So our goal today is to look at exactly what the clinical insights tell us about these two very distinct camps.
Moving right along to part two, let's look at cardio and its heart health benefits.
Let's just strip away all the jargon for a second and look at this from a purely clinical perspective. Cardio is exercise specifically focused on improving your cardiovascular endurance and maximizing your caloric burn. It's really not about what specific machine you happen to be using, it's entirely about forcing your internal engine to adapt to sustained physiological stress. Basically, you're systematically demanding way more from your heart and your lungs over a set period of time. And because of that, cardio acts as a highly functional tool for internal disease prevention. By actively working the heart muscle, it helps lower your blood pressure and drastically reduces the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Plus, it increases your cardiovascular endurance. This basically means your body becomes incredibly efficient at oxygenating your tissues. And of course, it drives the immediate caloric burn that's absolutely essential for managing metabolic weight. In short, it keeps your internal pathways super clear and efficient.
Which brings us to part three, strength, building your body. Now, we need to completely separate strength training from just general, everyday movement. Clinically speaking, strength training is exercise designed specifically for muscle retention and building bone density. This is really about placing deliberate physical demands on your body's structural framework, forcing it to adapt, fortify, and grow. Think of it like structural engineering, but for your own body. This type of training literally attacks aging at a foundational structural level. It improves muscle retention, which directly prevents that age-related muscle atrophy we all hear about, and it keeps your resting metabolic rate firing. That means you're actually burning calories even when you're just sitting on the couch. But honestly, more importantly, the mechanical stress of lifting weights forces your bones to become denser. This is your number one primary defense against things like osteoporosis and fragility later in life. It physically preserves your structural integrity.
Okay, part four. Let's put them together and start comparing health outcomes.
When we actually match up caloric burn against muscle retention, a really clear dynamic emerges. Cardio gives you that active, immediate benefit of burning calories right then and there while you're moving. Strength training, on the other hand, answers that by providing a structural, lasting benefit. It builds the muscle that keeps your metabolism functioning at a high level, even when you are completely at rest. So it's an immediate active burn versus a lasting structural foundation. Now, what's really interesting here is how these two disciplines target completely different, yet equally vital longevity markers. Cardiovascular endurance ensures your heart and lungs can actually sustain life's daily demands, warding off those chronic internal diseases. Meanwhile, bone density ensures your skeleton remains robust enough to physically support you. This prevents catastrophic falls and fractures as we age. One protects the engine and the other protects the chassis. Both are absolutely non-negotiable if you're serious about long-term health. Let's synthesize these specific health outcomes head to head, and suddenly the complete picture really emerges. Cardio is the primary driver for heart health, directly strengthening your cardiovascular system. But when we look at bone density and muscle retention, strength training takes the absolute clear lead by providing that necessary mechanical load. The huge takeaway here, neither discipline covers every single base on its own.
So, let's get to part five, the final verdict.
The ultimate goal for all of us is disease prevention, right? And the absolute best method to get there is synergy. The really crucial insight from MD Anderson is this: we absolutely must transition from this kind of rivalry mentality to an integrated approach. You need the internal efficiency that cardio provides just as much as you need the structural fortitude that strength training builds. They aren't enemies. They're literally two halves of the exact same wellness puzzle.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question. How will you combine both for your ultimate long-term wellness? Because it's clearly not about choosing one and abandoning the other. It's about looking at your current routine right now and finding the missing piece. If you only ever run, well, it might be time to pick up a dumbbell. And if you strictly lift, it's probably time to hit the treadmill. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope